Last Epoch is trying to go for the action RPG crown long held by Diablo. Last Epoch's gameplay is slower than Path of Exile or Diablo4. Movement skills are essential for repositioning but aren't the focus of the gameplay in the slightest. The aRPG side plays like most others in the genre. You pick a character, progress through the prologue, and then each chapter, similar to Diablo3. The difference here is the era system. Throughout the story, you will get the opportunity to travel across different time zones, so fighting dinosaurs in a prehistoric era to some post-apocalyptic future era. And the zones and maps you play are spread among these different eras. Should you play Last Epoch in 2024? In this video, I will give you 10 reasons why you should considering Last Epoch in 2024. The story is super fun, and you can play through loads of completely different classes. The ability to create subclasses gives the game tons of replayability, and that's what I've enjoyed most about the game, making new classes and builds. This game is not as complex as Path of Exile, and not so shallow like a Diablo4. If you're getting bored by sorting your rare items inventory in Diablo4, and you are also overwhelmed by Path of Exile's deep learning system, then Last Epoch may be the right action RPG for you. Character customization in Last Epoch goes even further than your class and subclass choice. In total, the game boasts over 100 skills spread across all the character classes. Interestingly, each individual skill gains experience if the player chooses to specialize and focus on them. This unlocks a separate skill tree specific to that skill, allowing players to modify their abilities in hundreds of different ways. Each skill tree's nodes can enhance the skill, ranging from increasing damage, reducing cooldown, or changing them entirely. For example, instead of summoning 5 skeleton mages, you can specialize in summoning one gigantic archmage instead that has the power of all 5 combined into one minion. The mage's black hole is a powerful skill that pulls enemies towards its center. It can be trained to automatically move towards your enemies, or even change into 2 giant stars that orbit each other, dealing fire and cold damage. Don't be afraid to experiment and try out different options. The game has a very forgiving respect feature wherein they can reset all their passives as well as skill trees. Mastery class is the only thing that is set in stone in Last Epoch. Last Epoch is a game that will have endless replayability, and that starts at the class selection. Upon starting the game, players will be given the choice between 5 different main classes: the Acolyte, Sentinel, Rogue, Mage, and Primalist. Each of these is already visually and thematically different. The unique thing about Last Epoch is that these 5 base classes can further specialize into one of 3 mastery classes. For example, the Acolyte is your typical undead, poison, and bone-type mage. However, Acolytes can evolve into the powerful poisonous lich, a summoner necromancer, or even a warlock. The Primalist can become a shape-shifting druid, a shaman, the master of the elements, or even a beast master who commands legions of wolves and other forest creatures. All of the basic classes have a few passive skills to choose from to create a stable base to build upon your character. The mastery classes also introduce more and more passives to further create a specialized build. Crafting in Last Epoch works a bit differently than other games. Instead of making items from scratch, players should be on the lookout for good base items that are of the type and quality that they want. Players can then enhance these base items with various suffixes and prefixes from shards that have a plethora of effects, such as adding stats, enhancing defenses, or even increasing damage. Crafting used to be highly dependent on RNG, as bad luck could break an item or prevent it from being enhanced further. The new system now involves a forging potential stat that determines how many times an item can be upgraded further. All items in Last Epoch have some use in the grand scheme of things, which is different than most aRPGs. In most other in the genre, players stop paying attention to white or blue items that drop as they lose relevancy fast. Items in Last Epoch are split into various tiers from normal, magic, rare, exalted, set, unique, and legendary. Magic, rare, and exalted items can all be broken down into shards that can be used for item crafting, making them sought after if there's a particular modifier that you're chasing after. In addition to this, the lower the tier of the item, the higher the forging potential it has. So picking up those white items isn't such a bad idea anymore. Last Epoc's stash system is also mind-bogglingly expansive. Pack rats should feel right at home with nearly limitless stash tabs and sub-tabs. Each tab can also be colored and have special icons placed on them to help make categorization a breeze. Last Epoch has 3 different endgame activities. One of Last Epoch's endgame activities is called the monolith system. It is a rather charming system wherein the player goes through existing areas but with randomized enemies and objectives. Players can choose their own adventure with the monolith system, so to speak. They are presented with a web of nodes that give people an idea of what exactly they will get at the end. Do you want to have a guaranteed set or unique item at the end of a dungeon? Do you want gold or shards? Be sure to look for the correct icon in the monoliths. Dungeons are endgame activities that provide both a special challenge and special rewards that can't be found anywhere else in the game. Each dungeon has a specific mechanic and an ability which will help you overcome specific challenges. They require a specific key to access and are considered roguelike. If you die or leave the dungeon, your key is lost and you will need to start over. There are 2 types of arenas available in the game currently. The Endless Arena offers endless waves of foes with increasing difficulty. It is a competitive game mode that challenges your character. Your progress is tracked on the ladder, so you may see where you stack up against the other players who have braved the Endless Arena. The Arena of Champions is an alternative arena mode that has a limited number of waves and a champion boss at the end. Arena of Champions has 4 tiers which have increasing challenge and rewards. While progressing through the waves, you will be presented with a choice of additional modifiers to further increase the difficulty and rewards. Last Epoch will have a revolutionary trade system that aims to strike a balance between traders and non-traders. The trade system allows players to choose between joining the Merchants Guild for trading or the Circle of Fortune for better drop rates. Both factions can still play together and interact with each other, but the trade faction has access to direct player-to-player trade and an auction house called the Bazaar. On the other hand, the non-trade faction enjoys increased drop rates and better quality of drops, along with the ability to control what items drop through a system of telescopes, prophecies, and lenses. Some traders may not be satisfied with the limitations and restrictions on trading in the game. However, that the system is well balanced and prevents an inflated economy and the devaluation of item drops. We did say that all loot is useful, but do you really want to see all the loot on the ground all the time? As satisfying as piles and piles of items after a boss fight is, it does get old if done over 40 hours or more. Sorting things can get tedious after a while. To combat this, Last Epoch has a built-in loot filter that players can easily tweak to suit their needs. The game can automatically hide unwanted items that fit certain criteria, like hiding all bow or sword-type items when playing a mage. You can also highlight or change the color of items with affixes that you need, creating a large pick-me-up signal. Last Epoch's loot filter is highly shareable. You can look up someone's build guide and find that they've created the perfect filter to apply to only pick up relevant gear to that build. Importing filters is as easy as copying the info and pasting it into the importer. Last Epoch's story relies on a tried and tested trope: time travel. However, the way that 11th Hour Games implements this nifty feature definitely isn't a gimmick. Players will explore the world of Eterra many times throughout its history. Players will often revisit the same spot at different points of time. You may visit a city at the height of its power in all its glory and majesty. Jump forward a few hundreds of years and you can see that the same city has now fallen and lies quietly in ruin. Move back 1,000 years and you can find out that the town was built originally due to a prosperous lake in its center, though now it is inhabited by dinosaurs instead of man. One of the Endgame dungeons, the Temporal Sanctum, even uses the time travel mechanic to its fullest. Players can move forward and backward in time whenever an obstacle impedes their progress. They will see passageways that existed in the past that are no longer there in the future, and vice versa. Even the boss of the Temporal Sanctum is known to possess the power of time manipulation. How she will use this against the player is anyone's guess at this point. The developers are still quite active on social media and the official Discord server. They have been giving players a steady stream of updates. So much, in fact, that the current iteration of the game is vastly different from what it was a year ago. The team at 11th Hour Games are also aware of many current pain points for the player base, such as performance issues or the fact that there are a limited amount of cosmetic changes when characters change armor. These will definitely be fixed and improved upon before the full release. It seems that the developers know what they're doing and they understand what a good action RPG should be. They hear the community and deliver on these requests with mandatory and new, innovative solutions. This game comes with a fair pricing and will not scam you with overpriced cash shop items, small content updates that cost a lot of money, or pushing you into buying new game-changing cash shop currency. Yes, there is an in-game shop. But cosmetics like skill effects, armors, pets, everything that impacts only visually and are not pay to win. This is the best way to monetize a game, ensuring continuity in the live service. Furthermore, the game is priced very fairly, around $35, and will not charging you in the future for content updates or add-ins like Diablo 4.